So what we're going to go over today is what is a repossessed property, how to spot repossessed properties, and how to secure a repossessed property, how buying a repossession differs from your standard typical purchase, and how to purchase a repossessed property before it comes to the market. So what is a repossessed property? So a repossession is a property that has been seized by the lender after the owner has unfortunately defaulted on their payments or other finance secured against the property. So that might be a second charge or even a third charge loan that's secured against the property. Once a lender has taken possession of a property, they will seek to sell it as quickly as possible in order to recoup the monies that are owed by the borrower. So how would you spot a repossessed property while it's online? So while you're scrolling on the property portals, you need to be looking out for properties with boarded up windows or doors. What you'll quite often find when a property is repossessed is the vendors will go back in and they'll like to kick the door in or smash the windows to regain access after the LPA receivers have secured it and changed the locks. Properties with notices are fixed in the window. So these will usually say, any persons wishing to collect belongings from this property must contact the LPA receivers or their agent on whatever the telephone number is within the next 7 days, or it will be disposed of. Properties that are on with two agents, this is a usual telltale sign that it's a repossession because most LPA receivers do list them with two agents. And properties that are priced low, so quite an obvious one there, although not in this current climate, is repossessed properties will often be on lower than what the market rate is for in that area. And any tape over the appliances or utilities. So once the property is repossessed, the cleaning team goes in, they disconnect any gas, any electric, turn off any appliances, and they stick some either blue or red tape over them. So that's a real good telltale sign to be able to say that our property is repossessed. And properties with a public notice in the description. So let's just break these down individually. So here are some examples. So a notice to fix to the window. So as you can see down in the left-hand corner in the third window across, you can see the notice to fix to the window there. So you'll see these when you're scrolling through Rightmove, and these will just jump out and pop out to you because not many properties have an A4 sheet of paper stuck in the window. And again, the tape over the utilities, either red or blue. And they're quite obvious to spot as well. A public notice in the description, so there'll be something along the lines of, we're acting on the sale of the above property, received an offer of 250 grand. Anyone wishing to increase their offer must contact the selling agent at their address or on their telephone number before exchange of contracts. And a real easy way for you to be able to find these, so I'm sure you've all known now if you've been on any of the training courses, how to use the key search word terms on Rightmove. So go to Rightmove and put in the key search word term, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Key search word term, as public notice, and then that will bring you up all the properties in the area that you're looking at that have a public notice on them. The strategy being there for you to save all the properties on your save file on Rightmove, check them every day to see whether that public notice has come off. If the public notice has come off, it means that the property has fallen through. And that's where you can capitalize on that opportunity, jump in and put a really low offer in. So how do you secure a repossessed property? So repossessions will in the first instance be offered by an estate agent. 9 times out of 10, the receivers instructed by the lender will instruct two agents to list the property. This is done for 2 reasons. Firstly, to give the property most exposure on the market. And secondly, to generate competition between the agents, as the lender has a legal obligation to get the best price possible for the borrower. If they are seen to accept a lower price, that could have been realistically achieved on the open market. The borrower has a legal right to sue the vendor for the difference. So it's really in their best interest to get the most interest and get it out there. So following on from that, so after a period of about 6 months, if the property hasn't been sold on the open market and contracts haven't been formally exchanged, the receivers will bang it in the auction. Once the property is on the market, the agents must wait 7 days before accepting an offer. Once an offer has been accepted, then public notice will be published up until exchange. So if your offer is accepted on the property, once the property public notice goes live, on the portal, you'll have 14 days to exchange contracts. During that 14-day period, anyone can submit and have an offer accepted that's higher than yours. If you take more than 14 days to exchange, the receivers can still accept a higher offer. So if it takes you 21 days to exchange, you're leaving yourself open to being gazumped for the period of 21 days. So going back to the previous slide where I said they can't formally accept an offer for the first 7 days, that gives you a fantastic window to get your offer in within that 7 days. Get your mortgage in place, get a survey instructed, get solicitors instructed, and get down that avenue of purchasing the property before anyone else even has a chance. So they can informally accept your offer, kind of informally give the indication that your offer is going to be accepted. Before they formally accept it, you've gone down that route already. You've already got your ducks in a row, you're ready to go. So when they do come back and accept your offer, even if your offer is lower than the others, they're more likely to go with you because you've got everything ready to go. And you're also reducing that 14-day time frame then. If you've already got everything done in the first 7 days, you know, you could get into that 14-day time frame and have it tied up within 3 working days. So the key here is to exchange contracts as quickly as possible, pointing out the obvious there, but this is achieved by working with a conveyancer who can meet these strict deadlines, having your lending in order before your offer is accepted. So as we said, use the 7 days to be able to do that, and using a lender that will accept search indemnity and will carry out a desktop valuation. So this should save you at least a week. So how does a repossession purchase differ from a standard purchase? So there's a shorter time scale to exchange and complete, so usually 14 days and then an additional 14 days. The property is not taken off the market until exchange of contracts is formally done. The property will be sold with limited title guarantee, so you'll basically have no comeback. The other side will have limited information on the property and will be unable to answer any questions. The utilities will have been disconnected, and the first thing you need to do before putting tenants in or moving in yourself is having those reconnected. The lender will only pay for any ground rent or service charge arrears they are aware of before completion. Any arrears that become known after completion become your liability. So it's really key there, if you're buying a leasehold property, that any arrears are brought to the table and are apparent before you complete, and that the lender clears those with the freeholder before you complete. Because once you complete, that debt is passed on to you and it's then your responsibility to clear it. So we've looked at how to purchase a repossessed property once it's on the market, but how do you purchase them before they come on the market? So first you need to find the properties. There's a couple of ways you recommend doing this. Let the vendors come to you and you actively market to the vendors. So the first method involves producing marketing material and putting adverts out there to attract distressed vendors looking for a fast sale, offering to purchase their property very quickly. So this would involve a combination of social media marketing, creating a website, pay-per-click advertising, and traditional print media. The idea being the vendors actively seek you out as they know selling fast is their solution to the problem they have. For this method, you actively seek out the vendors as they may not know the best solution to their problem. It's then your job to identify the best solution to resolve the issue for them. The vendors you have to actively seek out will have just buried their head in the sand. They won't fully understand the seriousness of the situation, and that's where you need to come in, be the knight in shining armor and resolve the issue for them. So before you can make contact, you need to identify the properties that are at risk of repossession. So a couple of ways you can do this. Identify areas that have seen a sharp decline in property values, therefore leaving the vendors in negative equity. So believe it or not, even during the last crazy 18 months we've had in the COVID bubble property market, there are still some areas that have had negative property growth. Then dropping letters through the doors of any properties in a poor state of repair. Responding to people posting questions about repossession on online forums such as Money Saving Expert, Mumsnet, Facebook, etc. So this method would involve a lot more legwork than simply identifying properties on Rightmove, Zoopla, Prime Location, on the market, etc., or waiting for vendors to come to you. Most people tend to shy away from doing the legwork Therefore, if you're prepared to put in the work to go out there and actively identify these off-market properties that no one else even knows is aware of them, you know, you're going to have much better profitability than they are, much more success. So what's the proper process after you've identified a property? So once you've identified a property, made contact with the owners, and they are reciprocal to you, to your help, you need to then assess how much they need for the property. Not what they want, but what they need. So meaning what is the total amount they owe the lender, including the balance left on the mortgage and any default charges or administration fees, termination fees, whatever else the lender has put on the loan to try and screw them with. After you have identified those figures, you then need to find out how many months of arrears the owners are in. So how close they are to repossession. So if they're only in 1 to 2 months arrears, at this stage, things aren't that serious. Action is still needed and it needs to be taken quickly to prevent the repossession proceeding starting. So nice and simple, you would contact the lender. So you'd phone them up, you'd be sat there with the vendor, you'd phone them up, you'd contact the lender, and you'd work out a payment plan, or you'd let them know that you're looking to purchase the property and get them to stop the repossession process. So 3 months plus of arrears, at this point, things start being more serious. Stopping the repossession gets a lot trickier, but it's still more than possible. The standard warning letters switch up a gear and the court summons start landing on the map. The aim at this stage in the process is to buy the owner time. Your first aim is to prevent the court hearing and come to an amicable solution with the lender. So you get them on the phone, you'd come to a solution, you might clear a couple of arrears for the vendor, and then that comes off the ultimate purchase price. Or you use your buyers, your investors' sourcing fee to clear those arrears, whatever it may be. If it goes to court, then you stand up in court, you give the right documentation that I'll go over in a moment to stop the repossession happening. So failing that, you will need to attend court, which isn't that scary. It's usually quite informal. And if you just turn up, 9 times out of 10, it'll go in your favour. So prep the vendor for their day in court. Again, you're looking to buy them more time in which you can sell the property or purchase yourself. Even if you buy them more time, the time you have to sell the property will still be dramatically reduced and a more realistic purchase figure will be agreed. So if you've gone to court, you know, knock the vendors down as much as possible because they're in a desperate situation. We have produced a detailed guide about the steps involved in preventing repossessions. If you'd like a copy of it, it's on the CRM. So download that, familiarise yourself with it. It's got the 2 forms that need to be filled out to take to court. Download those, familiarise yourself with it and start finding repossessed properties. So key takeaways from today's webinar: have all your ducks in a row, quack, quack. Rob and James, you know, if you've got any questions about ducks, speak out to the farmers, they know all about that. Inform your conveyancer of a strict deadline. Again, conveyancers work for you, so let them know you want a non-advisory service. You want things completed quickly. You don't want them messing around. You don't want to be at the bottom of the pile. You've got 14 days to tie this transaction up. Get it done for me in 14 days. Keep in regular contact with the conveyancers. I can't stress that enough. Get them on the phone, email them, keep in constant contact with them. Ensure all service charges and ground rent arrears are accounted for and are paid for by the lender before. Remember, lenders view repossessions as a last resort. They don't want to do it because often they lose money and time is of the essence.